Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. China's Area 51. A bizarre circle was just found on Google Maps in northern China. The circle kind of looks like a landing strip, and theories range everywhere from the peculiar formation being a military base to an alien landing pad. What we do know is that the mysterious possible airbase is somewhere near the Mongolian border. People on the internet are calling this thing China's Area 51 for its resemblance, at least in nature, to Area 51 in the US. It's a bit tricky to see what's really going on from the blurry images on Google Earth, but there are a few things that stand out immediately. First, there appear to be at least 3 highly advanced fighter jets in the center of the circle. Second, there does not appear to be a single road leading to the area. There are no obvious highways, but there also don't seem to be any dirt tracks that military personnel would need to set up the site. This suggests everything has been brought here by some other, more mysterious means. There also appear to be control towers, with the whole structure set up like a modern Stonehenge. It's really impossible to say what we're looking at, but it definitely looks to be military. And considering it's basically in the middle of nowhere, at the edge of the Gobi Desert, it's most certainly supposed to be a secret. Number 9. Weird stash of bikes. Imagine hoarding so many bicycles that your stash of bikes shows up on Google Earth and makes headlines. That's exactly what happened to one homeowner in March of 2022. Curious users on Google Earth were inspecting the small town of Oxford in England when they came across a literal mountain of bicycles. Judging by the images, there appeared to be hundreds, if not at least thousands of random bikes all piled up in this person's yard. And believe it or not, it turned into a criminal investigation. This isn't a small yard we're talking about. The house is quite large, with tall fences to block the neighbor's view of the property. From the very back of the fence to the rear of the house, all along the sides and even pushing against the side gate leading to the street, there are bicycles. When the images went viral and the police department in Oxford realized it was in their own neighborhood, they went to investigate. As you may have guessed, the bicycles were suspected to be stolen. The police had to sort through an unbelievable number of bikes to try and figure out which were hijacked and from where. As for the man who lived at the house, he was identified as a 54-year-old thief and was arrested on suspicion of handling stolen goods and possession of criminal property. It really makes you wonder why he continued to steal the bikes when clearly he wasn't selling them. It was like he was stockpiling them for some apocalyptic bicycle emergency. Number 8. Field of Scarecrows. In Finland, in a field in the middle of nowhere, there's a small army of scarecrows. Thanks to Google Maps, this strange army, almost looking like a zombie invasion, was revealed to the world. After it was posted online, there was a lot of speculation over what in the world is going on here. The field is one big flat patch of brown, dead grass surrounded on all sides by a wall of trees. And in the middle of the field, there appear to be hundreds upon hundreds of scarecrows, not protecting any crops, just loitering there like discarded Halloween decorations. After the story got some traction, the truth behind the mystery made itself clear. This wasn't just some deranged farmer's field. It's actually an art installation. It's called The Silent People, made up of roughly 1,000 scarecrows by local artist Reijo Kela. They've been in that field since 1994, but nobody outside the region really knew about them until they were spotted on Google Maps and went viral in 2017. And while they may look a little creepy, that's only at dusk and at night. The truth is that by day, there's actually nothing that creepy about these scarecrows. Each one is just a colorful shirt stuck to a long post in the ground with a shabby wig of straw hair. Number 7. Crashed UFO. A user on Google Earth has spotted what appears to be a crashed UFO in Antarctica. That's a big pill to swallow, so let's break it down. This discovery was made by Scott C. Waring, and it is not the first time Waring has made claims about the existence of extraterrestrials. The alleged UFO has not been confirmed by any reliable source. Instead, all we have are pictures on Google Earth of what appears to be a large disk trapped inside a clearing of Antarctic ice. Oddly enough, that clearing is shaped like a heart. What it looks like, without going too off the rails, is that the UFO, whatever the object is, crashed into Antarctica, broke the ice, and caused the opening we now see from satellite images. It's extremely difficult to get a proper measurement of the object. It seems to be roughly 131 feet across, about as large as you would imagine a flying saucer to be. However, one of the biggest issues is that this newest discovery, like so many other supposed UFO crashes, is that they are always in Antarctica. It's like the only place you have UFOs show up is the one place on Earth nobody can go look for them. According to Scott, it's very likely that it's going to be gone soon. He says that if the unidentified flying object disappears from Google Earth, it's because a team of government scientists have already gone and recovered it and brought it back to their secret lab. And now for number 6. But first, want to give a big shout out to Janana Banks and Darren Moody. Thanks so much for watching and supporting Origins Explained. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join the Origins Explained family. Number 6. The Murder House. If you go into Google Maps right now and zoom in on Cleveland, Ohio, there is something very disturbing. It's hiding in the Tremont neighborhood at 2208 Seymour Avenue. You'll notice that as you move down the street, all the houses look perfectly ordinary. But then you get to 2208, and for a seemingly inexplicable reason, the house is blurred. You can see everything else except for this house, which is censored. While this at first may seem like some kind of bizarre conspiracy, it's actually even worse. This house once belonged to serial killer Ariel Castro. Castro kidnapped Amanda Berry, Gina de Jesus, and Michelle Knight. He kept all 3 women captive inside his house for nearly 10 years. They were trapped up until May 6, 2013, which was when one of them finally managed to escape and tell the police what was happening. Castro ended up getting life in prison, plus 1,000 years without the possibility of parole. Later in 2013, the house had become such a stain on the neighborhood that it was demolished, but Google Maps is still blurring out the empty plot of land. Number 5. SOS. In the middle of the remote desert of Jordan, just north of Saudi Arabia, a very disturbing image was discovered on Google Earth. The image is that of a distress signal, a giant message which reads SOS Stranded. It appears as though someone had gotten lost in the desert, then made up their own distress signal as a clever attempt to be rescued by someone who would see it. The only issue here is that the SOS signal is clearly only visible from the sky. The only way someone would have seen it would be if they had flown over this remote part of the desert, or had been scrolling through Google Earth years after the message was left. This isn't a small message either. It's enormous. The word stranded appears to be about 150 feet long. The SOS above it is about 50 feet long. And to make matters even stranger, about 500 feet away is the word no, also written in the desert sand. Unfortunately, we have no idea who could have left these messages. We don't know if someone was actually stranded or if it was just a prank by some remote sheep herders. There aren't any roads around, just rough tracks that have probably been there for centuries. One theory that does kind of make sense is that the letters were left by military personnel who got into trouble and had no way of contacting anyone. Either way, it's one of the most bizarre unsolved mysteries we've ever seen on Google Earth. Number 4. The Swastika Base in California. There is a naval base in San Diego which was constructed in the 1960s. It's called Naval Base Coronado, and it's astoundingly offensive from the sky. Anyone with Google Maps can zoom in on Coronado and see the buildings which were constructed to look exactly like a swastika. From the air, it looks like Hitler designed the base, and it's in California of all places. The configuration of the building was probably not intentional. When they were building it in the 1960s, it's doubtful the architects meant to make the place into a swastika. But then again, it seems like a pretty difficult thing to miss. And when in the 2000s, people suddenly had access to satellite images, it wasn't long before the building's design was uncovered and people started complaining. In 2006, the Navy agreed to change the buildings and do some renovations. They even provided a statement to the press saying that they didn't want to be associated with the hateful symbol of the swastika. Fast forward to 2016, the building is still there, and it's still very much a swastika. The Navy spent $14 million to renovate the place, which they did, but they didn't change the outside appearance. They spent all their money to freshen the interior and make it cozier, but it still looks like a giant symbol of hate from the Third Reich. It's now the biggest and most expensive government-funded swastika anywhere in the world. Number 3. Creepy Bridge Monster. An extremely disturbing creature has been spotted on Google Earth. This time the monster was found using the Street View camera. A user was checking out a bridge in New York State when they found some kind of supernatural being hiding underneath it. The Street View is totally normal, going along a perfectly ordinary road. And then down to a trail beneath the bridge, hiding under the steel beams, is something that looks like it should be in a Stephen King book. The location of this disturbing creature's hideout is somewhere in the city of Ithaca, close to Cornell University. And while some have said that the sinister figure could just be part of a prank, it seems pretty unlikely unless someone knew exactly when the Google car was going to be coming by to make its recording. Plus, it doesn't seem like a person in a mask. It looks like it had black, hollow eyes, the face of a ghost, and a body completely covered in shadows. Apparently, it is terrifying people on TikTok. Some said the creature is actually just a piece of graffiti under the bridge, which, when caught by the Street View camera, appeared to come alive. And to be honest, hopefully that's the case. If this thing is real and there are little black-eyed specters hiding under bridges, that would be pretty disturbing. Number 2. The Kraken. The great mythical beast known as the Kraken has supposedly been captured on Google Maps. Internet sleuths discovered the prehistoric monster by checking out the Atlantic Ocean on Google. In most cases, the Atlantic Ocean would yield nothing except miles and miles of empty blackness. But this time, in the absolute middle of nowhere, the Kraken appeared to poke its head out of the sea at just the right time to be caught on camera. But what's the truth? Is this really a mythical sea creature? Is it a beast capable of bringing down ships and eating hapless sailors alive? Or is it just a giant squid, a creature that can grow to be 60 feet long with tentacles like giant anacondas? The truth is significantly less interesting. The image definitely looks like the head of a giant squid, as if one of these leviathans of the deep was caught leaping out of the water for some reason. But in truth, it's just a rock. The rock even has a name, Sail Rock. It's an outcrop shaped almost exactly like a giant squid's head, located off the coast of Deception Island, an oddly fitting name for this less than revolutionary satellite discovery. Number 1. Strange Antarctic structure. A very mysterious structure was spotted in Antarctica thanks to Google Earth. There was a lot of speculation surrounding this strange structure, which looked like a government facility or some kind of subterranean alien base. And just when everything had started to cool down, the unthinkable happened. This structure completely vanished from Google Earth, as if the men in black had forced Google to take it off the program. In 2015, there was a large and mysterious mound, along with what appeared to be an airstrip leading to the entrance of an unknown underground facility. This stuff was all there between 2015 and 2016. But by 2019, the structures weren't totally gone, but had been blacked out. Someone had censored these things like a secret CIA document. And if conspiracy theorists were going crazy before, this really set them off. Nobody has any idea what this place in Antarctica is, but obviously it's important enough that someone was able to black out what they didn't want the rest of the world to see. Thanks for watching. Have you ever found anything strange on Google Earth? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you later. Bye.